What's poppin', people? I'm TipDik, and today I'm bringing you guys a very special custom Robo build guide. And it's special because today we're talking all about the bees. That's right, we're talking the Hornet gun. This gun is complete bullshit, and it's just completely ridiculous. Okay, listen, the Hornet gun does the most damage out of any legal gun in the game. Assuming you can get into close range and get all the bees to connect, it does more damage than like the shotgun even, or the knuckle gun. This gun is like ridiculously strong, and in addition to that, it also can pretty much go all the way across the entire map. Like not actually all the way, but for basically any legal map, it'll go like 90% of the way across the map, which is nuts. And it also has homing, like a lot of homing, and it has a wide fanning hitbox that really prevents the opponent from even just being able to hide behind walls a lot of the times, because unless it's a pretty long wall, like the first 3 Hornets might hit the wall, but then the 2 on either side can sometimes just go around the wall because it's that wide and has that much homing. So it's kind of like complete BS. And one of the main weaknesses to the Hornet gun, like pretty much the only real weakness, is that it's kind of laggy, right? And fortunately, we have Acrobat canceling in the game. And if you don't know what that is, I'll leave a link to that probably somewhere on the screen, so check that out. But so we can Acrobat cancel our Hornet gun, and this is going to be the basis for the build that I want to show you guys. So the Robo that I want to use on this is Tank Head. And the reason I choose Tank Head, well, there are a few reasons. It's got, it trades pretty efficiently because it's got really good defense, and the Hornet gun allows it to have like ridiculous amounts of offense. So if the opponent gets in close, they pretty much just get their ass whooped, which is nice. And it also has good air mobility, which is like kind of why I choose it over metal grapplers. But I will show you a version of the build using metal grapplers. But I personally prefer to use Tank Head. And the reason we use Tank over Steelhead or Dowerhead is because basically his collision attack has the most utility, in my opinion, out of any of them, allowing it to clear walls, and its frames are pretty good too. If you connect, it can combo into the Hornet gun, and it's pretty nice. Tank Head's nice. And the set of legs I want to use is feather legs. And that's because I want to stay in the air like pretty much as long as possible, because his ground mobility is pretty much garbage, but his air mobility is really good. Air mobility is definitely good, and this also gives us the added benefit of being able to go ridiculously high with our Acrobat bomb, since we have feather legs, and this can just let us cheese out like certain matchups. Like if the opponent has a short range or even a mid-range gun, they're not really able to interact with us if we go to our full Acrobat height with the feather legs, and from there we can just rain down on them with Hornets, and it's very frustrating to have to deal with. And the pod I want to use is Trio H, and now Trio is really nice because you basically never run out of them. You can have 3 on the field at a time, and they blow up really quickly, so you almost always have them at your disposal. And I like to use that on this build so that I can constantly rise cancel. If you don't know what rise canceling is, I'll leave a link to a video about that right about here. And so this is going to just improve our air mobility even more, making it like harder for us to get hit. And so this is the main build that I prefer to use with the Hornet gun, and I think it's pretty ridiculous. Before I talk about matchups and all that sort of thing, I want to show you a different variation that Naga likes to use, and I'm not really sure which one is better. I've been trying to figure that out lately, but instead of using Funky Big Head, we use Metal Grappler, and we choose Metal Bear. And Metal Bear is chosen for a few reasons. For one thing, it's got the most defense out of any of the legal Robos, which means that it's going to be literally the best at trading in the entire game. He's really hard to knock down, you don't do as much damage to him, and he does like ridiculous amounts of damages. This is really scary if you get in close. And also he uses wave pod. And so that's one advantage that this has over the Funky Big Head, is its ability to trade, but also it has an air dash, which is really nice. You only get one of them, but it's pretty fast and goes a lot longer than like it seems like it should, and so that's really a valuable tool. It trades some like pretty much passive mobility that you get out of the Funky Big Head for the ability to rush down the opponent with your air dash, and for the ability to soak up hits even better. We still use Feather on here. Metal Bear can't go as ridiculously high as the Funky Big Heads, but you pretty much need Feather so that whenever you Acrobat cancel, you actually go high enough to dodge moves, to like dodge incoming guns and stuff like that. So Feather is pretty much mandatory, and Wave is really nice on this. You don't need the trio for mobility, so you can afford Wave. And this is really nice, particularly if you get your opponent in the corner. You can throw out a wave to like the left or the right to cover a retreat path, and then shoot out Hornets over the wall. And it's very difficult pressure to be able to get out of. And I think that if you don't have like a Shoryuken or something like that, it can be very difficult to escape all of that. So it's very cool. Like I said, I'm not really sure which one of these two versions is better, so you can play around with both of them and see what you like the best. In general, I think the Funky Big Head is a little bit safer, but I think Metal Bear can definitely do more if you can get into like the right position that you want. Although it's a little bit easier to like camp with Rayfall and stuff like that. It can be hard for the Metal Bear to get in sometimes versus really campy builds. I think that the matchups that you win as the Acro Hornet are like almost everything in the game, because it's just so ridiculous and overbearing. I think that particularly it's notable that it's very, very difficult for little raiders to deal with this because of the amount of like ground space that the Hornets cover. It's just very hard to be able to avoid them. If you have to run around them, you almost are forced to jump or use some sort of active movement option. But I think that the one matchup I would definitively say these guys lose against is with the sniper rifle, and particularly sniper plus Acrobat plus quick jump kind of beats this Hornet, because it's like hard to maneuver around the sniper rifle, especially as the bear, but even as the Funky Big Head too. It can be hard to get out of the way of the sniper rifle, and if they have quick jump, then if you shoot it from midair, you'll be able to fall faster than the Hornet can get to you. So if you pick an engagement that's like mid to long range away and you pressure with your sniper, you won't get punished by the bees like basically at all if they shoot at the same time that you do. So that matchup wins versus the Hornets, and possibly Lightning Sky I think could be another winning matchup, but I don't really think it definitively wins. I think it's more of like a mostly even, but probably slightly in the Hornets' favor is what it seems like to me. So now let's talk about stages for the Hornet gun. It doesn't matter as much as with some Robos, just because you're going to be in the air most of the time, so the layout doesn't affect you as much. But on a stage like High Rise Plaza with the two tall walls, it can block incoming attacks shot from the air better than on other stages, so this is a stage to think about banning if you're using these guys. Also, the large stages such as Flower Garden and Nature Park are, I think, slightly disadvantageous just because Hornet does a little bit better up close rather than far away. So I would try to stay away from these stages, but you can definitely still function just fine on them. I think that Little Locomotive is a good stage because the walls are short in terms of length, not height. There are a lot of really short walls except for the actual train itself, and so it's very hard to hide from the Hornets because, like I said before, if you try to hide behind it, the couple of Hornets in the middle might hit the wall, but then the two on either side will still come around, so it's very hard to escape that pressure. And also on Robo's room, I think that's another good one for the Hornets, just because they do a little bit better up close, and it's pretty hard to escape the pressure in a stage like this. That's my build guide regarding the Hornet gun. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more custom Robo content. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.